over to your mat, and we're going to start standing, and I'll say it again, this time now is for you. So whatever's happened before, it is happened. It's, you know, it can wait for you. You can go back to it. Whatever you may be anticipating is going to happen after the class, that can wait as well. So just really being with the idea that you are here. So standing on your mat and just taking your attention, look down at your feet, whether you're in socks or whether you're barefoot, it doesn't matter. Just lifting up one foot at a time, and almost as though you can tread or kiss slightly the floor. So it's that whole idea that you come into contact with what is beneath you, what's allowing you to feel stable. And it's very important, especially with what's going on around us, that we do have a stable base from which to come away from. And our perception of stability comes from contact. So allowing your feet now to rest and be supported by the floor that's beneath you. And then if it's okay, just bringing your hands together, just palms together, or base of the fingers and base of the thumb, inside of the wrist, outside of the wrist, and just taking the thumbs towards the heart centre. And then focusing your gaze, then taking just a little bit higher to the forehead. And then just taking the hands a little bit higher to above you. And just look towards your palms, just let the head drop, breathe in. And as you breathe out, just circle the arms down, soften the knees slightly, just coming down, cross the arms, breathing in, take the arms up and look up towards the ceiling. And then as you breathe out, just coming down, look down towards the floor. Breathing in, taking the arms up, looking up towards the ceiling. Breathing out, letting the arms come down, looking down towards the floor. And just continue. So you're just finding a bit of movement and just coming into contact with your breath. So quite easy, quite soft really. So just allowing yourself to be here. Knowing again, you've taken this time for you. So you're not necessarily trying to do anything at first. You're just coming into contact with what's happening now. And the next time you breathe in, just stop with the arms above you. And then as you breathe out, bring the hands towards the forehead, lightly touch. Breathing out, bring the hands towards the chest. Breathe in, take the arms up, look up towards the hands. And as you breathe out, bring the thumbs towards the forehead. Breathing out, thumbs towards the chest, just lightly touching. Breathing in, take the arms up. Breathe out, lightly touch centre of the brows. Breathing out, lightly touch chest. And just do that twice more. And you can go a little bit slower, or you can go a little bit faster. I know when I teach, I often maybe go a bit too fast. So just find your pace, and your pace is the most important pace of all. So you always work with what feels right for you. And then just stop with the hands resting around the chest or the heart, and just breathe. Soften the knees. And then you're just going to lightly just start to move the shoulders from side to side, or rock the elbows from side to side. And the knees are quite soft, so we're trying to reduce any kind of shearing or pain or discomfort in the knees. The knees are quite soft, and you can feel the ankles twisting as well perhaps. And then just let the arms lightly float away. Just being aware of what's around you, so you're not trying to, I've got the wall behind me, so try not to smack into anything or smash anything over, because that doesn't really go with the idea of being gentle. And then you're just rocking from side to side, twisting the upper part of the spine, easing into the knees, easing into the lower body. And then when you're ready, just stop and come to stasis. Again, soft knees. Bring the hands or the thumbs towards the chest or towards the heart centre. Often the heart centre is called in yoga, but sort of round about the upper part of the chest. And just turning a second, look away. So the knees, we want to feel as though the knees can move forward, but the spine, where the hands are resting, can come up. Lift the toes, so that takes your weight back a little bit. So when you bring the toes down, can you still keep the weight back? If you take the hands behind you, lift the toes, that will send your weight or the spine back, away from the knees. We're trying not to put pressure into the knees. When you bring the toes down, can you still feel as though the spine is coming up away from the thighs? And now bring the hands in front, and as you send the knees forward, So it's often called chair pose within yoga. As the knees go forward, just imagine there's a seat or a stool underneath your bottom and you're just trying to sit on it, but you're trying to keep the spine up. So you can feel the work in the thighs. A few breaths there. Hold in for 1, 2, 3. And then we're just going to bring the hands towards the knees. We're going to straighten or lengthen the legs. Lift up one heel at a time. The knees are quite soft. And then you're carefully just going to bring yourself back up to stand. Soft, soft knees. And then again, just rock the arms or rotate around. So you're just kind of easing in through movement, I suppose. Make sure you're breathing. Make sure you're breathing. And really let your shoulders go. Especially if you've been sitting all day or working on keyboards or staring, working with a screen. And then just come to centre and then just grip the hands so that the fingers fold into the palms and then just push them away. Bring the fingers into the palms, breathe in. And as you breathe out, push the hands away. Draw the hands back, really make a fist so you're gripping, 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 breathe in. And as you breathe out, push away. And just do that a few times, just as though you can get rid of all the tension that rests in your hands and rest in your thumbs. And you can do it with your breath or you can just do it any way that feels okay for you. And then just see if you can just start to shake. Shake, is that the word? Make the arms floppy or make the hands floppy and just shake the fingers. I'm doing this quite a lot actually. If I've done this with you before, just bear with me. It's just that with all the keyboard work that we're doing, our fingers and the joints in our hands are becoming overworked. So this just kind of frees them up a little bit. And then stop, stop. And then we're going to breathe in, take the arms up and look up towards the hands that are above you. Then as you breathe out, bring the hands towards the forehead. Breathing out, bring the hands towards the heart centre. Breathe as you do, as you send the knees forward, as you go into chair pose, but the spine is still coming up as the knees go forward. And then we're just going to see if we can lightly tap that right elbow towards the outside of the left knee. Make sure you're breathing, come to centre. We're going to see if we can lightly tap the left elbow to the outside of the right knee. Come to centre. Bring the hands towards the knees and just let go, lengthen. Lengthen the backs of the knees. Let the hands just come to, in a sense, just rest on the knees and just see if you can take the right hand onto the left elbow, left hand onto the right elbow. And just let the weight of the arms lengthen the spine. And then just soft, soft knees as you just rock the upper part of the spine from side to side. So really letting go of the shoulders, letting go of the jaw, letting go of the neck and the head. And then when you're ready, come to centre, let the fingertips, if the fingertips come onto the floor, that's okay. You can bend the knees, that's okay. And then just see, is there a possibility of just taking the hands a little bit further forward, coming down onto all fours. So then you're in all fours. Shake off the hands again. And if your wrists really do protest with this, or if your knees don't like this, you can pad up, you can roll the mat, you can come onto your knuckles, all those kind of things. Or, you know, if you always have a chair near me, you can rest onto a chair. So always adapt and find ways that you can find these mobility or these mobilising movements, but at your own pace. So then what we're going to do, we're just going to lightly send the top of the head forward a little bit past the fingertips. We're going to lightly send the hips back towards the heels. So just rocking forward and back, just testing how that feels in your body. So as you go forward, you can feel the weight going into the wrists and allow yourself to feel it. As you go back, you can feel what's going on through the knees or the hips or the ankles or the feet. Just rocking forward and back. And my toes are tucked under, so just kind of experiment a little bit. Next time you go forward, can you tuck the toes the other way? So when you go back, you're stretching the front of the toes. And then you go forward, tuck the toes the other way. So when you go back, you're lengthening the soles of the foot or the muscles in the soles of the foot. So just kind of change the movement through the toes. And you don't have to put a lot of weight into the heels, because they're odd movements, so it's enough just to be able to wake those muscles up. And waking those muscles up will help your knees, and that will help your hips, and that will in turn help the movement or mobility of your spine. And then just decide which, or actually just send the feet or fronts of the feet just neutral, as you just ease the hips back towards the heels. Just ease the hips back. Now settle. Allow your hips to be heavy because they are heavy. Allow your spine to be heavy because it is heavy. You can make light fists with the hands to support your head because your head is heavy. And we spend all day holding ourselves up. So now the floor, that stable base beneath us, can take us, can have our weight. And just experiment. Can you take one hand away? Can the forehead go a little bit lower? Can the forehead go onto the floor? And if it doesn't, that's okay as well, because you just support the head with the hands in a way that feels right for you. So you learn to look after yourself, you learn to know what's right for your body, how it feels right now. It doesn't mean you don't progress, but it means that you don't force yourself into doing things that don't feel right. And here, feel the breath in the back of your body. And then when you're ready, come back into all fours. So we're just going to go into another little twist. So we're going to walk the hands round towards the left. Walk the hands towards the left, as far around towards the left as you can, till you can see your toes perhaps. You can see the feet. And then come back to centre. And then walk your hands the other way, till you can see, and your gaze follows your hands and you can see your feet. And then just do that a few times. So just walking around the knees. And weight bearing in the knees is really good as well. It just encourages circulation to those joints. So it's always good. Weight bearing is one of the best things we can do for our body, really. And then when you're ready, just come back to neutral, to all fours. We're going to come onto the tips of the toes or tuck the toes under, and we're just going to see if we can work into down dog or Adho Mukha Svanasana. So lift up one knee at a time, lift up one hand at a time, and then just as you did before, just see if you can settle your hips a little bit further back towards the heels. Walk the hands a little bit closer, perhaps, if that's okay. And then as you lift the hands up and down, so you're taking the weight away from the hands to lift the knees. Just see if there's a possibility of lifting the knees. And if it isn't, you stay as you are. If there's a possibility of lifting the knees, then that's what you do. Just kind of see where you are with that. And then if there's a possibility, because I know this can be, and this is something that it does get better with practice, if there is a possibility of lifting the knees, leave the hands just as they are and lengthen the legs away. Just kind of see where you are. And then let go of the neck, let go of the shoulders. And then when you're ready, you bend the knees, bring the knees back onto the floor, flatten the feet, and ease the hips back towards the heels. So that's one way of just kind of going into down dog as an exercise. And we can go into it in different ways. And there's never, within the way I practice, there's never a right way and there's never a wrong way. There's a way that you're working with right now. So we bring the hands back into all fours, or body back into all fours, I should say. So the wrists are more or less underneath the shoulders, knees are underneath the hips. So you're not trying to make a shape, you're just feeling into what's happening in your body. Come onto the tips of the toes. And then from here, take your attention to the back of the waist. Now just imagine the back of the waist is being drawn up. You make more space between the collarbones and the knees, more space between the upper part of the chest and the thighs. So long, long spine. We're trying to find length in our spine as we lift the knees. So we can come up into down dog in this way. So it's a different shape, but perhaps a different feeling. Wide, wide shoulders. And just imagine you can push the elbows apart. And then as the heels, if you bend one knee at a time, just to kind of see if you can bring the heel, or sometimes it's called pedaling, I've seen that before, pedaling through the heels or knees to see if the heels will come down towards the floor. And then just kind of stop, because your aim isn't to get the heels on the floor. Your aim is to lengthen the spine. So just imagine the heels going far, far away from you as the top of the head moves far, far forward beyond the fingertips. So all you're trying to do is find length in your spine and feel your breath. And then from here, when you're ready, bring the knees down, flatten the feet, ease your hips back towards your heels. And then again, revisit the child's pose. So just see, can you support your head with your hands? Or can your forehead come onto the floor? So you're trying to lengthen the spine and let go of the weight of your spine. Just with that idea as well, and the understanding that all day you've been fighting against gravity. These kind of movements allow you to rest within it. And then when you're ready, we're just going to come back up into all fours. And we're going to come to stand. So if you've had enough of doing down dog, just stand. Or you can use the chair to get you up. If you want to come into down dog again, we're in all fours. We're going to lift the knees. And we're going to imagine the crown of the head moving as far, far away from the heels as possible. And then we're going to imagine the weight of the tailbone, the weight of the hips resting down towards the heels as you widen between the shoulders. And then soften your knees, and ever so carefully, is there a possibility, walking the hands back towards the feet. Back towards the feet. And then just as we did before, link the right hand onto the left elbow, left hand onto the right elbow, and just let the weight of the arms encourage the spine to lengthen towards the floor. Bend one knee at a time to just ease through the upper part of the spine. So just finding that rotation again, but carefully using the lower half of your body to rotate the upper half. So building awareness and building attention on what's going on in your body, because that's what yoga ultimately is. That connection between your mind, your body and something deeper. And then when you're ready, just come to centre, let go of the elbows. Knuckles or fingertips might trail on the floor, but it doesn't matter. You're not trying to reach the floor, it doesn't matter. Take the hands towards the knees, take the hands towards the thighs, and just stack your spine as you come back up to stand. And then from here, I'll face you. We're going to do a wide leg forward bend. So if you start off with your ankles or toes together, starting off together, and then we're going to take the heels out. And if you take the hands on the hips, it was quite interesting. And then take the toes out, heels out, toes out. So feel that connection from the feet all the way through to the hips. Don't go too far. And then come back in. And then just do that a few times. So it's a good way of waking up the balls of the feet and the soles of the feet. And that's always a good way of mobilising the knees and the hips and the lower spine, the lower back. And then just come back to where you started, and then we're just going to take a small step, wider step. So just not too wide, because you don't want to pull the inner thighs or stretch anything in the lower back. Just a small kind of step at first. And then we're going to turn the right foot out to the right, and you're going to turn the left foot slightly in as well. You're going to bend the right knee, so the right knee moves forward. Take the hands to rest behind you, much like what we did before. So even though the knee is moving forward, the spine isn't going with it. The spine is coming back away from. So you want to find as much space between the upper part of the chest and the knees or the thighs as possible. So we want to build strength, build a strong posture, not collapse. Yoga gives us a very strong inner core. And then when you're ready, just bring the toes back so they're facing forward. And that same kind of feeling. This part here, the upper part of the chest, is coming up as far, far away from the thighs as possible. So when the spine starts to move forward, you're not collapsing. Where the hands are resting behind you, draw back up towards. You might feel the belly lift, but you don't have to do that. Soften the knees. Let the hands come to rest on the knees. Send the right knee forward, send the right knee forward, send the left knee forward. And then as you carefully lengthen the backs of the knees, imagine you're going to lift the heels, get that sense of coming up through the centre of the spine to allow the top of the head to go. Fingertips can stay, or hands might stay on the knees, or the hands might come towards the ankles. Elbows are wide. So just go into that wide leg forward bend. Imagine the crown of the head coming towards the floor. The elbows are wide, the back of the shoulders are wide. And then carefully walk the hands back up. And then just come back to stand. So we're going to do it again. And I will say, like, one of the, like a little trick if you like, if you want to get the crown of the head onto the floor, you just take the legs a little bit wider, but don't go so wide that you fall over. Right, so we're gonna, let's start with the hands resting at the chest or the heart centre. We're gonna heel toe the feet out. So only go as far as you can to bring the feet back in. If you go so far that you're stuck, then you're going to pull something in the lower back. You're going to overstretch the inner thighs and the muscles and ligaments around the hips. So only go so far that you can, if you like, come back out of it. Always have a way of getting out of something. And then from here, let the hands come to rest on the hips and turn the left foot towards the left. Turn the right foot in slightly, send the left knee forward. Now if the hands are on the hips, as that left knee moves forward, imagine the hips can stay as wide and open as possible. So you're just being attentive to what's happening now. You can leave the hands on the hips as you bring the feet back to face forward. Now when the spine moves forward, can we keep as much space in the front of the hips as possible? So you're not closing or collapsing. Even though the spine is moving forward, the front of the hips, this part here, is staying as wide and open as possible, because that will allow the lower back to stay as wide and open as possible. You can soften your knees, it's absolutely fine. You can bring the hands onto the knees. Perhaps the hands will go to the ankles. Perhaps the fingertips will touch the floor, and allow the crown of your head to find its way towards the floor. Imagine you're going to lift the heels. You can feel that length in the backs of the legs. Let go of the shoulders, and ever so carefully walk yourself back up and come back to stand. So we're just going to do that one more time, but this time we're going to do a rotation. So I'll talk you through it. You've kind of done all the hard work. So take the feet a little bit wider. You don't have to go really wide, but if you want to, you can. Right, so the toes are facing forward, and you can feel the outside edges of the feet, because the feet beneath you are the parts of you that are keeping you in contact, that are stabilising you, grounding you, connecting you. Let the hands come to rest on the outside edge of the thighs. As you connect into the outside edges of the feet, feel a width around the outside edge of the thighs, and just imagine that, a width around the edge of the lungs, because we want to be able to breathe. So when we start to move forward, let the right hand come to rest behind, and the left hand can either stay on the left knee, or the left fingertips might lightly touch the floor. The knees can be quite bent, or you might want the hands to rest on a chair, the left hand to rest on a chair. Now where the hand's resting behind you, the right hand, take your attention to the elbow, send the right elbow up towards the ceiling, turn the gaze to look towards the ceiling, take the right arm up. So you feel that twist in the upper part of the spine. Breathing in, and as you breathe out, lower the arm, come back to centre. Bring the hands back towards the knees, soft knees, and just come back up to stand. Bring the feet back to hip width apart or neutral, and just allow yourself to settle. So we're going to do the same on the other side. So take the feet a little bit wider, so you make your choice. You're not going so wide that you can't come back out of it. So we can take our hands, both hands to rest behind us. So when the spine moves forward, that's it. When the spine moves forward and the gaze comes down towards the floor, take your attention to the front part of the foot. Your heels stay light, but the heels aren't pushing. The weight's taken more into the front parts of the foot because we're going into a forward bend. Make sure you can feel the outside edges of the feet, widening the outside edges of the thighs. The right hand can come down towards the floor as the left elbow is sent up towards the ceiling. As the gaze comes up towards the ceiling, perhaps the left arm can lift, but you don't have to. If you'd rather keep the left arm resting behind you, that's what you do. Breathe in, and then as you breathe out, lower the arm, come back to where you started. Soft knees, take the hands onto the knees, round spine, and just bring yourself back up to stand. And then just come to neutral. Well, I say neutral. So the feet are hip width apart. And just allow the arms to hang down by your side. And just feel the echoes of what you've done in your body. Feel your breath. Because the benefits of yoga occur after, which is when you want it really, because you don't walk around through your daily life doing these big rotations. You want the lung space and all those areas in your body to be working with as maximum benefit with least effort. So we're just going to do one more time. So just take the feet a little bit wider again. And we're going to soften the knees. So this time we're going to take the left hand onto the right hip. So you've already started to turn. You're going to take the right hand to rest behind you. Your knees are facing forward, the hips are facing forward. We're just trying to turn the upper part of the spine to free up all the lung space inside the ribs, inside the upper part of the chest. So now we're going to send the crown of the head forward past that right knee. The left hand can go onto the left knee, so there's a slightly different kind of twist. Now the right shoulder eases back, the right elbow goes up, the right arm goes up. And then come back to centre. Now take the right hand to the left knee. Left hand comes to rest behind you. Left elbow eases back to allow the spine, central part of the spine to start to turn. Gaze comes up towards the ceiling and maybe the left arm lifts. The knees are facing forward, the hips are facing forward. The rotation is coming from the upper part of the spine. Lower the arm, left arm. Just take both hands onto the knees, right hand on the right knee, left hand on the left knee. Send the knees slightly forward. Feel the weight move into the front parts of the foot to lighten the load in the heels. So you've got that connection with the floor, but you don't have to push. You have the connection with the floor, but you don't have to do anything. Carefully bring the fingertips on the floor. If possible, bend the knees if you need to. Walk the hands a little bit further forward to bend the knees, to see if you can come down, and then just ease yourself back into child's pose. So the knees can be quite wide. The forehead can rest onto the fists, either two fists or one fist, or the forehead might come onto the floor. And just settle there for a few moments, feeling your breath, feeling what you feel. And then we're going to finish with some breathing. So if you come to rest down, so if you come onto your mat, keeping the knees bent, just roll the spine down, so soles of the feet are flat to the floor. And if it's okay, just let the arms come to rest down by your side, palms facing up, and there's space between the elbows and the waist. And if it's okay to keep your knees bent, but there's space between the knees, if it's okay to keep the knees bent, then keeping the knees bent. And just keeping your eyes open for a few moments, just look at what you can see above you. And then roll your head from side to side with your eyes open, so you know what's around you. And you know that you're safe. And you know that the floor beneath can support you. And the room that you're in is comfortable and safe. And then just bring your head back to centre. And if it's all right with you, you can close your eyes. But if you'd rather keep your eyes open, then you keep your eyes open, so you decide what you do. And then if it's all right, just take your attention to the movement of your breath in your body. So when you breathe in, you can feel the chest rise and the belly rise as you fill the lungs with air. And when you breathe out, you can feel the lungs empty and the chest sinks and the belly sinks. And the body gives a little bit more to the floor. The breath comes in and the breath leaves. And we're just going to do a relatively short practice. So when you next breathe in, breathing in, stop, breathe in a little bit more. And then let that whole breath go. So really opening and expanding the lung space. Breathing in, stop or pause, breathe in a little bit more. And then really let go. And then if that feels all right for you, just do a few more. Just on the in-breath, pausing, not holding, not straining, but just pausing. And then when you breathe out, really feel that the whole of your chest, the whole of your body empties. And then your breath just arrives again. And you breathe in as deeply and as consciously as is possible. And you let go of the breath. And you just allow yourself to work in this way, being with yourself, by yourself. And then the next time you breathe out, you let the breath go. Just stop any kind of control and just let the breath arrive and let it go. And then just as this half an hour together comes towards its close, just notice how you feel right now. And again, there's no right or wrong way of feeling. But taking note is where the benefit takes place. And then when you're ready, maybe we can stretch. You take the arms overhead, stretch the arms away. You can lengthen the legs, stretch the legs away. Breathe in a little bit more. And then as you breathe out, draw the knees in towards you. Hands lightly rest on your knees and rock from side to side. And breathe as you do. Open your eyes if it feels okay. Or you can choose, maybe you can stay on the floor a little bit longer if you'd rather. But if it's all right for you, roll over onto your side. So take your time. There's no rush to kind of do anything, but what feels good for you. And then just in your own time, just ease yourself to a sitting position. Taking in what's around you and knowing where you are. And it just remains for me to say thank you. Thank you all for joining me. So